Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another episode of DBS History. Now, I haven't done one of these in a while. The last one I did was DBS History, the Set 2 Golden Days. Now, that's on the channel from I think about like a month or two ago, so go check that out if you haven't seen it yet. That's actually going to pretty much prelude what we're about to talk about today in terms of Dragon Ball's history. And today we're talking about mind controlling Babidi. So this card has come a long way in Dragon Ball's history. If you're newer to the game, you might not have heard of it unless you just recently started seeing the new Frieza prison decks. But this card has been a force in the Dragon Ball Super card game since Set 2. That's when it came out. And we're going to talk about where it began, where it's come, and where it currently is in the game. So I haven't done one of these videos in a little while, so I think I should kind of recap what this video is for. This video is probably for newer players that aren't really sure what the deal with the Babidi errata is. Like when you look at the card, the errata is not directly on it, so there's a little bit of information for those types of players. Maybe it'll give you a little bit of inspiration as to what you can do with Babidi going forward. And there's also for people that want to rehash the history of the game. If you've been around since Set 1, Set 2, maybe you want to recap a little bit what exactly happened with Babidi. So nonetheless, that's what this video is for. Before we get into it, guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can stay updated with the awesome Dragon Ball Super content that I post here. If you're looking for an awesome Dragon Ball Super community to get in touch with, check out the Discord in the description below. If you want to get caught up on some competitive content now that we're heading to nationals, and if you want to help support the channel, check out the Patreon in the description below. And if you want to buy any of the cards that I talk about in this video, make sure to use my TCG player link in the description below. Really helps the channel out. I think that was short and sweet enough. We'll get into this video. So, mind controlling Babidi. At first glance, a 6-drop 10k attacker, 1 10k combo. Not super duper impressive on first glance, but when you look at the effect, it has an auto that reads: when you play this card, look up 7 cards on the top of your deck, choose up to 2 red battle cards among them with 25,000 or less power other than Evil Wizard Babidi, so you cannot play itself with its effect, and play them, then shuffle your deck. So for a 6 energy, get 2 battle cards on the board, 25k beaters. That's really strong from the sound of it. But this card didn't really do anything in Set 1 and Set 2. Of course, there were some people that played Babidi decks, but it wasn't like a top the meta. Back in Set 2, if you guys watched my Set 2 video, we had like Soul Striker, which is basically a blue-green deck. We had Vegeta, which played anything from red-blue to green-blue. We had Golden Frieza, who played pretty much mono yellow, a little bit of yellow blue. We had Mecha Frieza eventually towards the end of Set 2. This card didn't really do a whole lot because there were just not enough good red bombs. Blue was just like the most dominant color. You had to play it in Set 2. That was kind of just the way it was. But if you look at this card, there's no real restrictions on like what your leader has to be, how much energy you have to have, like what type of things you can do with this card. All you have to do is get it in play, whether it's from your drop area, whether it's from your hand, whether it's from your deck, whatever, and then you can activate the effect. That was a problem once Set 3 came out. So once we came into Set 3, we had the obvious kind of power lapse of Mecha Frieza. So I'll probably do a whole video on that later on, but Mecha Frieza was a huge problem because the leader was just way too free. We can actually give the leader a quick look right over here. So basically this leader lets you activate extra cards by paying life instead of paying energy. So you could basically turbo awaken as fast as you wanted to, just play what was it called? Encouraging Presence Manaka to take a life and draw a card, basically Pot of Greed from Yu-Gi-Oh! Play Planet Vegeta, which came out in Set 3, which meant take a life and then search any Saiyan in your deck, which was super popular, especially with Shugesh coming out. Now, the other thing with that is, when we had the introduction of Set 3, we had the introduction of this guy right here, Chain Attack Trunks, out of the red structure deck. So this guy says when you play this card, choose up to 1 battle card from your hand with power of 15,000 or less and play it. And what is Babidi? A battle card with power of 15,000 or less. So this sparked a huge problem. Once we got the leak for Chain Attack, people came up with the Chain Attack Babidi combo. And if you guys play in the current format, you might still see the Chain Attack Babidi combo in a deck like Frieza Prison or a deck like Gogeta Ramp, but we will talk about why that is today and why it's not just like super free nowadays. So basically, we had people dropping combo videos on the Dragon Ball Super Facebook group where they were dropping the Intensifying Power Trunks on turn 1. And there was no real good way to deal with that. I mean, the only way you could really deal with it back in Set 3 was a card like Family of Justice Son Goten. Like Kale, the Hidden Awakening Kale wasn't a card you could drop as early as like turn 1, turn 2, which is when you had to answer this Intensifying Power Trunks. And a card like Crisis Crusher Son Goku was not a card yet. So we didn't really have easy ways to just pick off 1-drops. So 9 times out of 10, this Intensifying Power Trunks that your Mecha Frieza opponent played on turn 1 was going to sit there. Turn 2 comes around, you charge a second red, and then you evolve into Chantac Trunks, and then you bring out the mind controlling Babidi. So like I said, people were dropping combo videos on the Facebook group where they would go Chantac on turn 2 into Babidi, into looking at top 7, drop another Chantac, maybe even 2 Chantacs if they see them. Then you can go into another Babidi from your hand, and you can just spam an entire board. Now the cards I have pictured here are the possible bomb cards, and I'm missing a few, but these are the majority of the best ones. These are some of the bomb cards you were able to play with the mind controlling Babidi. So like, let's just imagine Chantac into Babidi and a Chantac into Babidi, like, 2 to 3 times. You could drop the Jiren Fist of Justice to attack active modes. You could drop the General Rildo to minus your whole opponent's board by 10k. You could drop anything from like Repeated Force Vegito for a 25k triple strike. You could drop this Goku SS3, which was a double strike and could also swing twice. So you just had insane bombs, and even though the quality of these bombs are probably not super strong compared to today's standards, it's just the fact that you could go so wide on the board on turn 2, which was a huge problem. If we look at the Mecha Frieza format, if any of you guys know, the 2 dominant decks back then were Mecha Apes and Mecha Veggies. Mecha Veggies being one that could go incredibly wide, turns 2 and 3. This was a similar deck that could do a similar thing. So people were really calling for the errata of Babidi. A lot of people on the other side of the argument was just let the format play out, which is kind of an approach you can take if you really just are very conservative, in the sense that, no, we don't really need to call for the ban hammer very soon. We shouldn't really call for these things preemptively. We should let the format play out. But Bandai took it upon themselves to immediately errata Babidi before set 3 actually dropped. So if we go to the errata page on the Dragon Ball Super card list website, we have Union Force BT2 022 mind controlling Babidi. This card got errated on 3/9, I believe, of 2018, I believe it was. And then so this card says, when you play this card, look it up top 7, blah blah. So the card errata before was, when you play this card, do X. After the errata, you have to have 6 or more red energy to play this card and then resolve its effect. So basically that prevented the abuse with Chantac being able to drop Babidi on turn 2. Now that was no longer possible. You need to have 6 red energy to resolve Babidi's effect, which was a huge balancing fix for the whole Babidi problem. Now I think I'm more on the side of like, let the format play out before you decide to do these types of erratas, but this was pretty obviously a stupid combo that I don't think Bandai really intended to be a thing, and they didn't really want it to be a thing. I think they really wanted Babidi to just be like a late game bomb that comes in, drops really big boss monsters, and wraps up the game on turn 6. I don't think they wanted this to be a card you could cheat in on turn 2 and play really powerful boss monsters, because the other thing with that too is, as they produce more and more sets, they're going to produce more and more 25k bomb cards that Babidi is going to be able to abuse. And actually, now that we've gotten deeper and deeper into the game, we're on set 7 at the time of recording this video, there are tons and tons of better red boss monsters that you can play off Babidi. So, and we're seeing that in the current format. That's just an apparent thing of the current format. So I'm pretty happy that Bandai went in and errated Babidi pretty much right away before set 3 even dropped. So if you go back to the errata page, yeah, it says the errata will be issued from the release of set 3, and this was produced before the release of set 3. Now Babidi, ever since since set 3, we've had set 4, 5, and 6. Babidi pretty much completely irrelevant. There was no deck that played the card. I mean, those Crossworld stamps were just, that's basically the the higher rarity version of Babidi, because Babidi didn't come foil, because set 2 cards did not come foil. So that those Crossworld Babidis were sitting at garbage prices, and there was just no real use for them. No deck was charging the 6 red energy. It just wasn't really a thing. But introduce the new set 7, which we got about a month ago, and I guess earlier this month, and you had the introduction of some incredibly strong red-green boss monsters, and you come to the realization of what is currently Frieza Prison, which is the #1 user of Babidi, I would say. You also have like Gogeta Ramp. You also have Mono Red Gogeta that can charge a 6 and use it because they can play a lot of defense. But the main thing we're seeing in the current format is Frieza Prison. So looking at a deck list like this, and this is not meant to be like the perfect end-all be-all deck list, just an example to show you guys. You're basically playing Frieza, who can search for red extra cards, and what that allows you to do is stall to the super duper late game, which is turn 6 roughly. Then you're able to drop Babidi on turn 6, tap out, and then you're able to look at the top 7 of your deck, grab anything from Frieza the Finisher, which is an entire board wipe. You can also grab Kaioken Son Goku, which is the main boss monster, and you want to be dropping with Babidi. So Kaioken basically, takes X amount of life, and then you could look at your opponent's hand X amount of times, and each time you look at your opponent's hand, you can rip a card out of their hand, and this card will gain 25,000 power. So basically, if you're able to resolve this even like 2-3 times, this is an attack that your opponent cannot combo out of. You're gonna look at their hand, you're gonna rip their negates, so you're gonna basically stop the only thing that stops this card from getting in and doing damage. And then when your life reaches 1, you're going to give this card triple strike and dual attack. So basically, looking at the top 7 with Babidi and grabbing 2 Kaokens is usually game over in a lot of situations, unless you're playing like drop negates like Final Guardian, or if you're playing like Mutaito or Crusher Ball. Well, actually Crusher Ball doesn't even work on Kaoken because it has deflect. So you have to be playing certain cards to stop it. Counterplays do stop Babidi. Thank goodness that minus Killy Zone is gone. Otherwise, Babidi would be even more stupid. But at least there's counterplay to it. Like, for example, if you're playing a red deck that plays Denial of Hope, maybe you're playing a Frieza Prison Mirror match, maybe you're playing Vegeta Baby, maybe you're playing Mono Red Gogeta, whatever the case is, you can Denial of Hope the Babidi, because Babidi's only a 10k battle card. You can't Panther Strike it, you can't You're Wide Open it, unfortunately, but you can Denial of Hope it, which is really cool. You know, I've noticed in a lot of red mirror matches, if I'm playing against Frieza Prison, I have to hold them off until turn 8. Basically, I have to try and kill them before turn 8. Turn 8 is their cap turn, because they can chain attack into Babidi on turn 8, only tap 4 energy for it. If I denial it, they can choose to, you know, either not play the chain attack or just let the chain attack fizzle. And then they can play a second chain attack and play Babidi. It'll tap them out on turn 8, which means they won't have a lot of combo power backing them up, but they can still drop their Kaioken. So basically, this is where Babidi is at the current state of the Dragon Ball Super card game. Just a little bit of history for you guys, where it started out in set 2, where it came in set 3, how it got its errata, and where this card stands in the current format. I do think this card will just continue to get better as more red bombs come out. Luckily, there is counterplay to it, which is a great thing for the game. But when your opponent drops it, it's going to be kind of stupid. So wanted to let you guys know about that little history piece. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like I said, if you want to build a deck like this, make sure to use my TCG player link in the description below. Really helps the channel out. Thank you guys for watching. My name is Joey. This is Crossroad TCG, and I'll see you guys in the next video.